Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. You know, it's the ones that got away that stick in your craw, right? I had a decent day yesterday. Martin Murray went the distance. The over delivered in that Murray-George Groves fight. I have the pre-fight video here online. You can check on that. Dominique Brazil made it past the midway point of the fourth round. That over-delivered and delivered well, plus 280 against Anthony Joshua. We'll discuss that fight in a different video. But I have to say, last night, and I admit, I watched the fight with a gambler who thought that Keith Thurman won the fight 115-113, right? And he told me so before the judges' scorecards were announced, right? And, of course, you had Steve Farhood's ongoing scorecard on the show that had Keith Thurman winning the fight. But I got to tell you, I saw that fight, and I know people on Twitter feel that Keith Thurman won the fight. I understand that the Compubox numbers show in terms of power punches that Keith Thurman landed the higher percentage of punches, right? Also, I'll agree that Keith Thurman's punches were crisp at times, at least crisper, framed better than Shawn Porter's. But I really don't understand. And this video is really a I don't get it video, right? It's my plea to you to tell me how Shawn Porter lost that fight yesterday. I don't get it. You know, Porter throws more punches. Porter's jab much more effective than Keith Thurman's jab. There are some rounds there where Porter, in my opinion, dominates, let's say, 2.5 minutes of the round, gets hit with one, perhaps two tough shots, stays on his feet, finishes the round, backs Thurman up against the ropes. There are a few rounds like that. I don't know how you could watch a guy not get knocked down, dominate for more than 2 minutes of the round, fight the fight he wants to fight, have one time backing up, have one time up against the ropes, and feel that that round was won by the guy whose back was up against the ropes, who may have landed a haymaker in the round, but the haymaker didn't do any haymaking, right? The other guy didn't fall down. I thought that, well, put it this way. I saw the same fight that Shane Mosley saw. I'm hoping people interview Mosley, because right after the fight ended, Mosley tweeted that, hey, this is a Shawn Porter fight, right? He had it 8-4 for Porter. I can tell you, I was looking at Farhood's card. I thought, this is ridiculous. Even the guy I saw the fight with thought that Farhood's card was ridiculous. But then when the guy confessed to me later that he had Thurman winning the fight, I thought, man, you know, are these drinks that loaded? I didn't understand it. You know, it's when they were announcing the scores. Understand, I was one of the lost people out there who, when they said unanimous decision, I thought, okay, well, clearly Shawn Porter won this fight. I mean, clearly. Folks, let's go back to the first 5 rounds of the fight. When you saw Porter come in, be sudden, have Thurman backing up, have Thurman up on the ropes, right? Thurman talks about his defense, right? At least talked about it after the fight. What defense? I saw Thurman getting hit with jabs. I saw Thurman up on the ropes, really trying to just survive, right? The first 5 rounds of this fight, on my scorecard, I had Shawn Porter winning 4 of the first 5 rounds. Now, because I'm lost, because I saw the same fight that the people who booed in the arena saw, right? When they started booing in real time, I understood it. You can imagine, in a matter of seconds, I went from hearing them say, unanimous decision, and then I thought, oh, well, my guy got this. My night has gone from good to great. You can imagine, in a matter of seconds, I then heard that the other guy won. I was like, what? Then I heard the crowd booing, and I thought, hey, this is an obvious robbery. The news to me is the fact that Dan Rayfield had Keith Thurman winning. Rayfield of ESPN. Several other luminaries in press row had Keith Thurman winning. I'm shocked. Steve Farhood had Keith Thurman winning. I don't get it. Right? I'll agree. He lands some big shots at times. I'll agree. There were times where Shawn Porter gets frozen. No question about it. But if a guy doesn't go down, right? If a guy is having the fight where he wants it, didn't you get the feeling? If I said to you, better on the inside in this match, which fighter would you pick? Who was better on the inside in this match? Who was the one able to back up the other fighter more? Who's that guy? Is it the guy throwing more punches in this fight? Let me say this too. I have to question the Compubox numbers. All of this stuff is an art. It's not a science. Right? The fight I saw had a gap where I personally thought Shawn Porter was landing more punches. And I'm talking about power punches than Keith Thurman. Right? Certainly we know he throws more punches. Right? We know he throws more punches. I got the feeling he landed considerably more punches. So I'm just throwing it out there. I know I've read some comments on YouTube, on other boxing sites here on YouTube, other people commenting on boxing matches, and I know the consensus is, oh, Keith Thurman really sucked it up. Lou DiBella on Twitter has made the point that, look, you really can't take a guy's title on a fight this close, right? Somebody, by the way, needs to tell that to Shawn Porter, who lost his title in a fight that was close to Cal Brook, right? But let's just say that some big-time promoters, some big-time commentators all seem to have a point of view that wasn't shared by people in the arena, right? Shawn Porter is from Cleveland, folks. He's not from Brooklyn, New York City. When the fans in the crowd boo, when the decision is announced, and by the way, they're not booing before the decision is announced. They're booing afterwards, right? By the way, they're not booing when they hear it's unanimous. Rather, they boo when they hear who has been awarded the victory. Understand, they're not booing a hometown fighter not getting an undeserved decision. Shawn Porter is not from New York City. He's from Cleveland, right? Or Ohio, right? He's from Ohio. And so here's my challenge to the YouTube community, and I admit, I'm sore, right? I was having a great day. And then, of course, this was the last hurdle I had to climb. The bet I recommended, I said Porter was a live underdog. I said, look, take Porter at something like plus 160 or plus 175, right? And the under 9.5 rounds. That's how I played the fight. Unfortunately for me, I lost both halves of that play, right? I'm bitter, I'm sore. YouTube, I'm bitter. Maybe I should start a new segment, right? YouTube, I'm bitter. I don't understand this, right? While I respect the attitude and fight that Keith Thurman brought to the match, right? Shawn Porter is there. Keith Thurman makes no excuses. He tries to fight back, right? While I'll say Keith Thurman fought valiantly, I don't think he won the fight. I was one of the people booing after I heard that he got a unanimous decision, right? By the way, the crowd boos immediately, right? Shane Mosley has Porter winning 8 rounds, 8-4, right? I'm just going to make the argument on Porter winning the fight. You can make the argument on Thurman winning the fight. Porter is the one on his front foot. In fact, Porter is sudden. He's outside. He decides when the fighters engage, right? If we're talking about ring generalship, Porter is the guy who gets Thurman up on the ropes and who has Thurman, who normally is a guy who comes in and destroys people, a knockout puncher, right? He has Thurman trying to play defense. He has Thurman not on his plan A or his plan B. He has Thurman on his plan C, right? Thurman's backed up on the ropes. Hey, he's not Ali. That's not his game. He's not Floyd Mayweather. That's not a Keith Thurman staple where he's on the ropes and he's, move. Come on. He's on the ropes because he has to be on the ropes. Because Shawn Porter has put him on the ropes, right? Porter is coming in. He's landing a jab many times. Thurman throws punches that miss by this much, right? Because Porter's pivoting, right? Porter jumps in, is roughing him up, has a shoulder on him. I think Porter wins those rounds. Then Porter backs up because Porter's sudden, right? He's outside, he's inside. Porter backs up. Thurman's throwing hooks and missing. Right? Now, I give him credit for saying, look, you're coming after my title. I'm going to fight back. I give Thurman credit on that. I'll agree Thurman's a better framer. Right? There's some Thurman shots where you see him and you say, oh, he got him there. Right? You see the shots and stuff. But if you know that Shawn Porter is on the inside, folks, when a fighter is on the inside and he's throwing short punches, and you see him moving his arms and throwing the punches, maybe it doesn't look as well framed as a guy on the outside landing a hook. But isn't a landed punch still a landed punch? Right? In his post-fight comments, Keith Thurman talks about how Porter smothers his punches. The bottom line is Porter's landing the punches. If I'm a judge and I see Porter roughing up Thurman over by the side of the ring, why doesn't that count as much as Thurman landing a hook that I see more clearly? Right? I'm disappointed in this. Excellent fight. I'm not here to diss the fight. I'm here to diss the scoring. Right? I applaud both men. Right? I applaud both men. Let me also applaud PBC. Let me say this about the economics of boxing. Right? Some fighters will get, let's say, $1.5 million fighting on HBO or Showtime. And they'll think, hey, this 1.5 is more than the $1 million I would get fighting on free TV. You're wrong about that. Right? Shawn Porter got $1 million for this. According to reports, Keith Thurman got $1.4 million for this. Folks, more people today know of these fighters than before the fight. Right? As the buzz builds, as CBS executives, look at the fight, look at the numbers, look at the good press they're going to get. Sports broadcasting is very competitive, right? You know, all of these networks are bidding for NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL, right? MLS. When CBS is able to look at the customer satisfaction on this match, look at the buzz, right? When they look at the fighters, when we fans look at the fighters after a fight like this, I'm just telling you that Shawn Porter is going to have vastly more opportunities ahead of him. Keith Thurman, too, is going to have vastly more opportunities ahead of him than they would have had if they had fought in relative anonymity on cable television, even if they got a few more dollars that night to do so, right? So I applaud both of these guys. Right? What I don't applaud is the scoring that got booed. Right? The unanimity. Right? All three judges with the same scorecard. If you're one of these people who thought, hey, this fight could have gone either way, aren't you raising an eyebrow at the fact that all three judges had the fight going the same way to the guy who threw less punches? The guy who spent a lot of the night backing up, not quite looking like Floyd Mayweather doing so. Right? As for the counters, you know, look, Keith Thurman did land some bombs, no question about it. But, I mean, weren't they spaced? Weren't they few and far between? Right? I know many of you are going to disagree. I know as soon as I hit the stop taping button, I'm going to have 3 or 4 negatives. I know many of you are going to say, hey, you know, Dwyer lost his shirt on this one and so he's bitter. Hey, by the way, you're right about the last part, right? But what I want you to do, as you wade through the negatives and, you know, say, hey, Dwyer lost his shirt on this one, and I did, right? And I did on this fight. Thank God for the other fights happening on Saturday. Right? What I want you to do is to defend what you saw. Right? If you believe Keith Thurman won this fight, right? Tell us why. Right? Tell us the rounds that really stood out to you. Because I saw a lot of rounds where Keith Thurman was getting out-hustled on the inside, was forced to back up, was out of his game. I thought Shawn Porter's fighting his fight. I thought Keith Thurman was fighting his plan C, right? If you saw a different fight, tell us about it. If you're also someone who believes that, look, on a fight this close, if you consider the fight this close, right? Close rounds have to go to the champion, right? We all have different ideas on how to score fights, don't we? Then I want you to tell me about which rounds you felt fell into that category, right? This fight really had no losers. Both guys are going to be media darlings, right? If I'm a CBS executive and I'm like, hey, we need to put another boxing match on, and, you know, I'm looking at all the fighters out there, and someone says, hey, we have this possible deal involving Thurman or Shawn Porter, I'm going to say, oh, that sounds exciting, right? Oh, you know, those guys bring it. Those guys are professionals. Okay, great. Right? Thurman's still unbeaten, a champion. I applaud him for taking this fight, right? Thurman's idea of being a champion is taking tough fights on national TV, and that gets a hand. But just like I thought Joseph Parker lost to Carlos Takam, right? I'm one of those booing this unanimous decision. Give us your theory, too, on why the fans booed the decision, right? How could the fans and the experts, people like Dan Rayfield, be on different sides? We'll pretend this is a divider. Be on different sides of this one. What did the fans see that Rayfield didn't? Or conversely, what did Rayfield see that the fans didn't? Tell us all about it in the comment section to this video. Thanks for stopping by.